Hi everyone, I'm your host, Alison Kelly. Welcome to More Than Words podcast. Today we have got an amazing coach. His name is Jon Hunter, and Jon is going to be talking about mental health, especially when it comes to men. Welcome, Jon. How are you?
I'm absolutely splendid. Thank you. And thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It really is. Now, for those who have just joined us on More Than Words podcast, this is available also for people who want to watch and listen. And I'm going to let you into a little secret now. This is about the 5th time that we've started this. It isn't straight going. Now, for those who are watching it and for the few that are listening, let me just tell you what's going ahead. So I've got this little light shining in my eye because before we're about to go on, Jon, my lights went wrong and I tried to get that up and there was a few words that we would have to censor, wouldn't we, Jon?
Definitely.
But we're here, we're doing it, we're going for it, and I am so glad that you are my guest on More Than Words podcast. So like I said, Jon is a coach and he's going to be talking about the whole stigma and the taboo subject around men and mental health. So Jon, tell me, how did you get into mental health for men? What is it that made you passionate about it?
I've worked in mental health in all sorts of divisions for over 25 years. I've never wanted to be a qualified nurse. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a healthcare assistant that works in a psychiatric hospital. And I had a calling towards being a coach. I saw a company online and I went with them and I did a few practice sessions and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I'm loving this and it makes me so happy. So I started off being anxiety and depression coach because that's what I was diagnosed with, anxiety and depression. When that happened, I thought, no, I'm not going to let this be a label for me. I'm going to own this. And I put it out there straight away. This is me. This is what I've been told I've got. This is what I've been told may happen. Like some days flat days, some days good days, and some days just normal days. And with that, I got so many people coming up to me and like, well done for saying that, putting it out there. And I thought that was quite hard for me to do. But it was also easy as well, which kind of contradicts itself.
It sounds like you've been on a journey. You know, when you say that you work as a healthcare assistant in a psychiatric ward, you know, well, I don't know about the listeners, but I know I've watched programs and that job is intense. You know, you have to have a certain amount of stigma. You have to have this character, and I think you have to be a certain person to work in a surrounding, you know, somewhere where there's so much trauma going on. But like you said, you're also doing so much good, you know. So tell me, why is it, or what is it that you think is the reason why men don't admit to mental health or having anxiety?
Some men, like myself, will own up to it straight away because they don't want that label. Oh, he's got mental health issues. Oh, he's got this, he's got that. But there are some that see a social norm as a man has to be the provider. A man has to be the tough person. A man should not be showing their emotions. And this has gone back for thousands and thousands of years, where the men are the providers and the men have to be the tough people and not show their emotions. But times change. Times change so much now. And now it has to look at, it is okay for a man to say, look, I'm having rubbish day. Sorry, I nearly had to carve my language there. I am having a rubbish day, and there is that one person for everybody that is going to sit there and, well, what do you mean? And we need to get away from this social norms of men being the top providers and have to be tough all the time. They don't. It is actually harder. And to me, it's more of a masculine thing. If a bloke sat down and said to me, look, this is going on, this is going on, I would think, well, fair play to you for that. And it needs to come away from everything like 10 years ago where the men had to do this, and it has to come away from that. And the sooner we get that started and get more groups out there for men to realize there are safe places for me to go and talk, there are places for me to chat about how I'm feeling, because at the end of the day, even stuff on social media, you can't dictate that men have to be like this. You don't have, the men don't have to be like anything. You just have to be yourself. And if that means you open it up and bawling your eyes out when you're talking, credit to you.
Definitely, I totally agree. Let me just take this light away because it really is annoying me. There we go. You can still see me. So you were saying that, you know, you had mental health yourself. Was it easy for you to go to someone, or did it take that special person to get to you? How was it for you personally?
Well, I didn't know at first, obviously. And there was a lady at work who I won't mention, and they called me in the office. Very nice, very polite, chatted. And they said, you're not one for being off sick. And I'm not. I'll come in, my eyes, I used to get really bad hay fever. My eyes swells up. I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe properly. And I'd still come into work. But last couple of years, I just could not go on. I was feeling rough all the time, feeling ill. My manager, she got me in the office and just says, I think you've got like anxiety and depression. I'm like, yeah, okay. Why? And she goes, no. The mental health, as you know, does not make you look sad, does not make you act sad or make you feel emotional. It can manifest itself on the stress in your body, which your immune system could go low. You could feel aches and pains. You could feel anything that you'd normally wipe off, but you'd feel it tenfold, which was happening to me.
Yeah.
And then they said, I want you to go to the doctor and just speak to your doctor. So I did that, and I was thinking, yeah, okay, whatever. It's just going to say I'm stressed or something. And I went and spoke to my doctor, and he goes, right, okay. Kept a very tight net, and he says, I need you to fill out these questions, and in a couple of days, I'll get back to you. So he sent me the questions, filled them out. Within a couple of hours, he's phoned me back and said, yeah, you've got moderate to severe anxiety and depression. How do you feel about starting on medication? I'm not one to jump straight onto tablets or anything, but I thought I need to get out of this slump.
Yeah.
I really, really do. So I started, and that's when the emotions started coming out. One minute I'd be fine, the next minute I didn't hate people, but I hated being around people. And the doctor finally said, right, we're going to up your medication a bit more, because really by now you should be starting to see a level. And I wasn't. And I hated it. But the medication did sort me out. It gave me flat. And
Were you offered any counselling or coaching?
yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I was offered counselling as well. And I spoke to a counsellor, and she says, I don't think you need counselling because there's nothing traumatic in your past or anything like that. I think you need DBT.
Okay.
Like cognitive behavioural therapy. Right, okay, I'm willing to give anything a try. And yeah, I could not concentrate on that. I could not through anything they were doing.
No.
I stopped doing it because I had no motivation to do it.
The thing is with CPT, so I'm a counsellor. Okay, so I work during the week. I'm a counsellor for people who have learning disabilities, but I also counsel their families as well. And the thing with CPT is, for me, it takes a certain person to be able to gel with someone who could do CBT. So when I do counseling, I'm more person-centered.
Yeah.
So I'm more about empathy and understanding how it is for that person. Where CPT and DBT and all this lot, I just felt it was a little bit too, I don't know, for me it was a little bit too much, right, why are you feeling like this? You know, get out of this kind of thing. And I'm kind of more the nurture kind of counsellor. But for some people it works, doesn't it, John? For some
Yeah,
people it does work.
it's like recognizing what you have, recognizing the symptoms, recognizing the feelings. You got all that emotion. Then what you're going to do with those feelings, how you're going to control those feelings,
Yeah.
and what the outcome is going to be. And believe me, so it does work with some people.
It does. It does. It really does. But a lot of people it doesn't. Now, I'm glad that you said that you got offered, you know, some kind of help and not just prescribed tablets, because when I had my depression, I was prescribed tablets and they worked, but they were a little bit too high for me. And I found myself just being like a robot. But I wasn't offered counseling back then. I wasn't offered that. I was just given tablets. And, you know, so when you said, yeah, you were off, that's why I asked that question, because,
Yeah,
you know, sometimes it depends what doctor you get. No disrespect to any doctors that are out there listening, you know, but you do get good and bad in every kind of, you know,
yeah.
yeah. And I found, you know, for me, I had a bad experience. You know, I was just prescribed tablets, and it wasn't until my friend said, Alison, you are just numb. You're a robot. It just numbed my feelings completely. And it didn't work for me. So I went to another doctor, and thankfully I got the help that I needed. So, John, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience around my ex-husband. Okay, so he had, when I first met, we were absolutely fine, everything else, and over the years, for various reasons, he became depressed, and then he had mental health issues, and it got to the point that he was on drinks, drugs, and with the mental health, it was a combination for a bomb to explode.
Yeah.
And it did. One night he was found in the middle of the road with a knife, and because there was no room for him to go anywhere, they gave him a card. It said, please do not approach this man. He's mentally unstable, basically. But they had nowhere to go to take him. You know, and it was diabolical, because really he needed help. He needed help, you know.
Exactly.
But that was I mean, we're talking 25 years ago. Do you think time is improving with the way that things are being handled nowadays around mental health awareness and stuff like that?
100% better. 100. I know you get all these bad presses about mental health hospitals, but you never hear about the good things that go on within the hospitals at all. You only hear about the bad things. And this is where in hospitals, some hospitals have emergency admission wards. And this is where they get picked up, or you got your social workers and you got your Section 12 doctors that all come together and say, that person needs to come in. They can come in informally, or we can take them in on a section. And most of the time, some of them come in informally. Some of them are so poorly that they need to be taken in. And there needs to be more and more. But there is still not enough outside places for people to go. There's just not enough. So instead of bringing people in that could be dealt with outside, there needs to be more outside. So you get, like, say, as we're talking about men, you can get a man who's on the brink of breaking down finds out there's somewhere he can go and talk and realise, well, it isn't that bad. I consider my condition nowhere near as bad as to what a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And yes, I have a lot of bad days, but I've got a lot of friends out there that know and talk to me, and a lot of them are coaches as well, and they talk to me. I've got friends at work that know and talk about me. So I would like to just get this information out there. You don't have to be this tough nut kind of person. You don't have to think you're going to end up in hospital. It doesn't work like that all the time.
Or in
Sometimes,
prison.
or in prison. Yes.
Sorry, John, to interrupt, but, you know,
Right.
at the back of my mind, when you're talking to me, I just got this image. And, you know, prison is overcrowded with people with mental health issues because they haven't had, like you said, that walk-in centre. They haven't had that help. You know, if a lot of the people that are in prison don't deserve to be in prison because, you know, the crimes they commit is maybe due to the mental health issues. You know, if they got more help with the mental health issues and weren't so low that they turn to drugs, and then the drugs they turn to crime, it's a vicious circle. Luckily on the Isle of Wight, John, I think you'll be glad to hear this, on the Isle of Wight I've actually seen a mental health place open, and it's around the corner, and it says walk-in centre for men only, and it is for men, you know, for men. And I thought, I can't wait to tell John.
That is absolutely amazing. And I would love to set up something like this. Not necessarily like a big open centre, because I want to start small and work bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But have a group call on Zoom where it's going to be private, confidential. Obviously, if something's detrimental to someone else or themselves, that's a whole another avenue. But have somewhere.
A safe place.
A safe place. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
A safe place. And they don't have to open up straight away. It's going to be an ongoing weekly thing. And it will be realize men don't have to be this tough nut all the time. They don't have to hold their emotions. And yes, you will feel, some men will feel rubbish. Some men will feel better. Some men might even just benefit from just one talking session. Some may need 12 weeks, 10 weeks, you know, however long. But I do admit, in the NHS and private hospitals, it is getting better. There are more external coaches and like minds and all that out there for people. But it just needs to evaporate from where men need to be this tough knight in shining armor.
And that's what it is. And I tell you what, as well, for the women that are listening tonight, I think I would say 90% of the viewers and the listeners will agree with me. You men are stubborn.
Yes, we are. 100%.
Are stubborn. When you are poorly and you know you're poorly and you've got to go to the doctors, you won't go. You're like, oh, I'm all right. I'm all right. And when you're upset, you're like, you're all right. Yeah, I'm fine. And I know, we know that you're not, you know, but no, I'm fine. And like you said, I think it's the whole going back, you know, men have to be the providers and have to be strong, and they think they're weak. And, you know, and I don't know if you, I think you do know, like on one of my other podcasts, I had a coach on called Carl, and he talked about domestic violence, you know, and the taboo around that, and how, you know, it's quite difficult to talk about being a victim of domestic violence if you're a male, because it's so, you know, it's almost like embarrassing to say, oh, you know, I've been beaten by the opposite sex or by the same sex, because, you know, we have same-sex relationships and everything, but being beaten by somebody. And it was so interesting to talk to him, and
Love the show that was.
yeah, you listen to it, brilliant. And he was so open, wasn't he, John?
He was.
And what you're saying there, it just kind of like fits as well. It's the whole stigma of I'm a man and I can't let my feelings show. Another thing you said, John, is social media, the way that it's portrayed,
Yeah.
films and stuff like that as well. But I've noticed a lot of films nowadays, you do see a man cry, and a woman loves a man that cries. We do.
But there are more, and with like more and more films coming out where it's not the man that's the hero, it's a woman, it's a mother, it's a daughter. Not naming the films, but there are lots of films where the roles are changing.
Yeah.
And this is where people need to realize that social media is fake. You got, not all of it, I'm not saying all of it, but then you've got all these posts, oh, I'm doing this, I'm this tough guy doing, right, okay. But what are you really like? And ask when they say what's, they're looking low, how are you? And they say, and I got this from a coach, Marty Spencer, and he said, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. No. How are you? And it's just like digging that little bit deeper. What's on your mind? No, truthfully, what is on your mind?
Peeling back the layers.
Exactly. And that's what needs to happen. Just don't take the first answer you're given.
Yeah. And do you know what else as well? I think, another thing you were saying about, we've got all these organizations that are out there to help. But if you're not got that, I don't know, that strength, not strength, but if you kind of like got that persona, like, I don't want to ask for help, especially men, because that's what we're talking about, then, it's going to be difficult for that man to go, I've got to walk over there, I've got to walk through the door, I've got to say what's wrong with me. So don't you think there should be some kind of people going out in the streets and giving help?
Yes. There is. Like in a coffee bar, you could have a little section cut off and just have something like men's mental health. I guarantee you're going to get people come up to, what do you mean? Yeah. And then you got somebody sitting down, and then you watch what they're saying, watch how they're sitting and how their body moves and stuff like that. And also, it needs to start young in schools.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah. It needs going back to the, not too young, but like high school, where it needs explaining. You're going to go out into the big wide world. Things are going to get tough. Things are going to get you down. Not to everybody. Yeah. And you don't need to hide it away. There are people out there that hide it away. And like you say, one day it just explodes. And it's going to be like yourself, the innocent people that get hurt emotionally in the background.
Yeah, definitely. And, you were saying about the schools and that, it has to be educated, doesn't it? I mean, there's so much, I think, the youngsters of today, they've got so much access, like social media, you're saying, it can be quite a dangerous world. So we have laws set in place to guide the youngsters, but those laws are broken because there's always a loophole, and I think it's okay having these. It's all right. I don't know if you can hear it, John, but my computer, it's not the latest one, and it sounds like an aeroplane about to take off. So if we do get cut off straight, soon, please forgive us, but I'll keep going. Anyway, yeah, so where was I? So with the schools, you do need to educate them. We do need to get them young and educate them. But then we've got that barrier, haven't we? Because you've got all this social media influence,
Yeah.
and it's harder, I think, to try and get that message across now, because you've got influencers, you've got so much going on, so I think the best thing that we can do is just do what we're doing, John, and try and spread awareness through videos like this, through podcasts, through any way that we can. So what is it that you do, John? Let us know what is it that you do at the moment to try and raise awareness about mental health for men?
At the moment, I have a weekly group. We meet on Zoom, and there are coaches on there, male and female. We get some visitors that come in, so I set it up, give it out to some of the coaches. Some of the coaches give it out to their friends. They come in, and you don't have to have the camera on. You don't have to have your microphone on.
Yeah,
You can just sit there and listen. There's no pressure whatsoever. If you
that's
want,
amazing.
and if you want your camera on, but just don't want to talk because you're not got the confidence, that's fine. We had a call not so long back, and there were people just sitting and listening, but then all of a sudden they turned the cameras on or they turned the mics on and started interacting. And we try and make it as calm and relaxing and no pressure, no judgment. Nobody ever judges anybody or is derogatory to anybody, otherwise they're out straight away. There's no second chance. You've got to be nice and supportive towards people.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be something in there that may help somebody. And that one little thing is the first stepping stone to getting what they need. And that's what we want.
So after today's podcast, after this Zoom with you, are people able to join that if they wanted to? So I could put the details on, and on the Facebook and on the
100%.
everything. Yeah.
And it is free. It is free.
And it's free, so that's good as well. Well, do you know what, John? I'm so glad that you've got that Zoom and that you've done that, because it needs, like we said, we need to raise awareness. There needs to be more people out there. And for any male or female, if you're female or male and you want to get in contact with John or myself, I'll be able to put all our details later on, and you'll be able to find us in the comments and find us, on Facebook and everything else. Now, John, like I said to you, I've had depression myself in the past, and luckily I've worked my way through it. Is there any tips or hints or anything that you can give to somebody, if there's a listener right now, to try and maybe get through each day if they are struggling and they haven't got to that place yet that they want to talk to someone, maybe something they can do themselves, do you think?
Yeah. When you wake up, do not grab your phone straight away. Leave your phone alone. What I do sometimes I wake up in the morning and I can feel it happening, like the anxiety come in, or I just want to go back to sleep. I'll lie there and think of somewhere that would make me happy if I was there right now. So mine is like on top of the hills and the wind's blowing and I'm deep breathing while I'm thinking of this. What can I hear? What can I see? What can I smell? What can I feel? What can I taste? And work through each one of those emotions. It can take 10 minutes, it might take 5 minutes, it might take 20 minutes. But keep the breathing going, deep and slow. And put a smile on your face when you do it.
Yeah.
Put a smile on your face. Or if you feel it stressed and anxious, what I love, and I will rate this the whole time, lavender oil. I love lavender oil. I will put that on my pillow. I'm out like a light.
It's very good. You get lavender roll on that you can put on your temples if you've got a migraine or a headache, and that works amazing as well. So what you're saying is like visualization.
Yes.
No, visualization, mindfulness, and just, concentrating on your breathing and concentrating what's around you, taking in all your senses, and then basically you're taking away what you're thinking about, and your rethinking process goes from a negative to more of a positive. And that is so important for anyone, and that can be done if you feel yourself having a panic attack. I used to have panic attacks. And if you feel like you have panic attacks, you can do that in the moment. You just stand where you are, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who's around you. You just breathe, and you just count in. If you can just count and just take in, where am I, or go to your happy place. Another thing that I do, John, I don't know if you've heard of this, is the traffic light system. Have you heard of that? Traffic
No.
light system. So I do it a lot. So what you do is you red, amber, green. So red, what does red mean?
Danger.
Yeah. And it also
Stop.
means stop. Yeah. Amber is get ready, make yourself ready. And green is go. So if you feel like you're getting anxiety or you're having a panic attack, then do your red, amber, green. So red, stop where you are, stop and listen to your body, listen to your thoughts. And amber, get yourself in to the place that makes you feel better with
Yeah.
breathing. And then when you feel right, when you calm your body, calm your breathing, gone, and change that mindset, and then you go green, and then you're ready to go. And it's just a traffic light system that you can do anywhere. So that's another little hint there. But I love what you've said there, John. It's so important that people have these little things that they can, they don't have to. A lot of people, I think, feel like, I speak my hands, don't I? A lot of people, I know, I'm sorry, I'm like I need a little puppet here. For those who are listening on podcasts, I am talking with my hands a lot, and I just saw it a lot. Anyway, a lot of people think when they have depression or anxiety and that it's clinical. I've got to go and I've got to see somebody in an office with a
No.
clipboard. That's the olden days. It's gone from that, isn't it, John?
Yeah, and this is what we were saying earlier about you don't have to go to hospital. Then there is places outside that isn't clinical. There is people there are willing to help you. And one trick I find when I feel anxiety coming on, this is going to turn bad, that's going to turn bad, this is going to happen. I ask myself, right, I'm thinking that, I've acknowledged it, but what evidence do I have to back that up?
That's good. Yeah.
99% of the time, you will not have any evidence to back those emotions or those feelings up
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. So it's a scenario, isn't it? You get so worked up in your head. You have a scenario that it might not even happen. And like you said, what is the evidence to prove that that is going to happen? It is a emotional roller coaster that
Yeah,
goes way over and beyond. And life is a roller coaster. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, and I say that, just put your seatbelt on, sit tight and enjoy the ride, because until it ends, there's no getting off. You just got to go with it.
yeah. And one more thing I do want to say about it: when I get anxiety, I get all fingers and thumbs, and I get clumsy, and I drop stuff or I knock stuff over. Instead of getting angry, laugh at it.
Yeah.
Tell yourself, I don't think I really wanted to do that. I just laugh at the situation and keep laughing at it. It's not a big deal. You break a cup. Okay, cup can be replaced. It's not a problem. Just laugh at the issue, laugh at the situation. It'll make you feel better. Does for me anyway.
Do you know what? It's good that we're in this place together, isn't it, John? That we're both positive. We've both got all these little hints and little tips, and we're both coaches and we help people. But you're on the same road as me. We're both on the same road, as in we both want to help people.
Yeah.
But we've got different lives. We've got, different things happening in our lives, but we've got one thing in common, and that is we want to help people. So we're hoping that this podcast, this Zoom is helping at least one person. So if you are listening to John or to myself, and there's something that, it might not be about you, it actually might be about your neighbor, your brother, it might be your dad, it might be somebody that you are thinking, actually, they need help, go to them, isn't it, John? And what do you think you could say to this person that you know they're not going to listen? What is it that you think that they can say to them to make them feel, actually, I do need to listen?
Ask them, like what we said earlier. Instead of just saying you're okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Ask them, what's been going on with you today? What's going on in your mind? They'll give you an answer. And if there is something going on, 90% of the time, they will lie. And you know that they're not telling you the truth. And it's just like, peel back that onion. Just peel it back. Ask them why. Why is a powerful question. And it leads to another layer, then another layer, then another layer. And just ask them and just say, look, I'm here for you. Don't worry, you're not going to be judged. There's no issue with you having whatever's going on in your head. I'm here for you. And that's all it takes. Just that one person that shows they're going to listen.
Definitely.
And if there isn't that one person, do you really need that person in your life? If they're not prepared to sit there, if they turn around and judge you, do you really need that person in there? And I'm not trying to break anybody up or anything like that. But these are the times you're going to find your real friends. And this is where you need to go in and say, there's something going on. Don't back down to what they say. Listen to them. You will know the difference.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you there, because sometimes, when you really want to reach out and you think, actually, is anyone there for me? Is anyone going to listen to me? Who am I? They've got their own problems. But those who really love you, really care for you, they will drop everything for you. They'll be there. They'll put the kettle on. They'll sit down with you. And all you've got to do is just talk. That is it. And we do that every day. We do it every day. We sit there, we communicate every day. And all you're doing is communicating the negative rather than the positive. But once you communicate all the negatives, all the things that's going on in your life, then you'll feel positive and you'll feel empowered and you'll feel more stronger and you'll be able to make the next step.
Exactly. And it's that first step that is the hardest. That is the hardest. Once you've done that, the second step, the third step will get easier.
And it's little steps, isn't it? We get taught, me and John, we've both studied with the same people, and you get taught it's the little steps, Don't try and climb the ladder. Don't try and get to the top, and because all you're going to do is you're going to fall. And even if you do the little steps and you go down one, it's not as high to get back up. So do little steps at a time. John, I absolutely have enjoyed talking to you. I've learned something today myself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've loved this. This was amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I know it took us about 5 attempts to get there, but we got there in the end.
But that made me relax.
Good.
That you had me in stitches.
Yeah, I didn't record that bit. That would have been funny. But I did keep it quite quiet, and I didn't swear. I was good.
Yeah, you were.
Okay, so for the listeners, I just want to say, listen to what John has said. His advice is golden, really. This is a guy who's been through it. He's not just read a book, he's not just studied, he's lived it, he's living it, And another thing, John, before we come to a close, with mental health, depression, anxiety, they're not so much a visual illness.
No.
It's a silent illness. But please don't be quiet.
Silent.
Don't be silent. Talk to somebody. It's very important, and you have got help out there. You've got me, you've got John, you've got organizations, you've got helplines, you've got so much going. Please do not be alone. If you know somebody who is suffering, again, reach out to them. Just say, Are you okay? And if they go, yeah, I'm fine. Say, really? What's going on? Why? Why you feel like that? Like John said, very powerful. Why? Also, one more thing, John.
Yeah.
Some people might get angry when you try and help them.
Yes.
Allow them to be angry, because anger is an emotion. You are allowed to be angry. I get angry sometimes and I'm allowed to be angry. So if they're angry, don't take it personal.
No,
It's just a defense, isn't it?
it is. It's an emotional defense. And sometimes some people can't handle the fact that someone, oh, they're there for me. What do I do now? And they get defensive, they get angry, and they get emotional. That is when you know you're making a step forward for them as well.
Definitely. John, thanks ever so much. I'm going to leave all your details and everything for any viewers, any listeners. And, you know, like I said, if you need to reach out, please reach out to myself or to John. John, it's
Indeed.
been absolutely amazing. Thank you ever so much for being my guest on More Than Words podcast.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I've loved it.
I've loved you being on it. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so much.